Have you ever faced a situation where you thought everything was going smoothly, only to find out that something crucial was missing? If you're working with Node.js and MySQL, you might be wondering how to retrieve all the inserted IDs when adding multiple rows. You're in the right place. Today, we're diving into this common issue. I totally get it. You run your insert query, everything seems perfect, but then you realize you're only getting the ID of the first row. It's frustrating, and you're definitely not alone in this. Many developers encounter this when working with multiple inserts. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. A user asked, how can I retrieve all the inserted IDs when I perform multiple inserts in MySQL using Node.js? This is a common scenario, and it's important to understand how to handle it effectively. So what's happening here? When you perform a multiple insert in MySQL, the default behavior is to return the ID of the first inserted row. This can be limiting if you need to know the IDs of all the rows you just added. Let's break down how to get around this limitation. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a handy tip that can streamline your database operations even further. To retrieve all the inserted IDs after performing a multiple insert in MySQL using Node.js, the user should first ensure they are using the correct method to execute the insert query. The user can utilize the insert many method provided by the MySQL library. Next, when executing the insert query, the user should capture the result object returned by the query. This object contains an array of the inserted IDs, which can be accessed directly. To access all the inserted IDs, the user should look at the results object. Specifically, they can use results.insertID for the first ID and results.affectedRows to determine how many rows were inserted. Finally, the user can log or store these IDs as needed. This way, they can keep track of all the records that were inserted into the database. Fun fact, did you know that MySQL can handle millions of rows in a single insert? Just imagine the possibilities. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user explains that when inserting multiple rows into a MySQL database, you can only retrieve the ID of the first inserted row. They suggest that if your primary key is auto-incrementing, you can calculate the IDs of the subsequent rows by simply incrementing the last insert ID. Here's a pro tip. Always check the documentation for the specific MySQL driver you're using with Node.js. Different drivers may have different methods for retrieving inserted IDs, and knowing this can save you a lot of time. And there you have it. Now you know how to retrieve all the inserted IDs when performing multiple inserts in MySQL using Node.js. Remember, understanding your tools is key to becoming a better developer. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tricks.